There are objects out there that don't just carry history, they carry something else. Something that watches, something that waits. They may look harmless, an old doll, a dusty mirror, a painting that's been passed down for generations, but beneath their surface hides energy that can ruin lives, destroy families, or even end them. Throughout history, cursed or haunted objects have appeared in homes, museums, and private collections. Some have been locked away, others vanished after leaving behind a trail of terror. Tonight, we're counting down 10 scary objects you should never bring home. These aren't urban legends, these are real artifacts with documented events, witnesses, and consequences. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and remember, sometimes evil doesn't need to find you. You bring it home yourself. 10. Robert the Doll, The Curse of Key West in 1904. In the sunny, quiet streets of Key West, Florida, a wealthy family gave their young son a strange gift, a life-sized doll dressed in a sailor suit. The boy's name was Robert Eugene Otto. The doll would soon become infamous as Robert the Doll. According to the Otto family's servants, the doll wasn't bought at a toy store. It was allegedly given by a Bahamian servant who practiced voodoo and black magic. Locals whispered that she placed a curse on the doll before handing it over. Robert became inseparable from his doll. He named it after himself, spoke to it constantly, and insisted the doll responded. At night, the family heard Robert having full conversations, but with a voice that wasn't his own. Furniture moved. Objects broke. Neighbors swore they saw the doll peering out of the upstairs windows when the family was away. The Ottos began to fear the doll, but didn't dare get rid of it. When Robert grew up and inherited the house, he kept the doll in a window facing the street. Children walking by would claim its expression changed when they looked at it. Some even heard laughter. After Robert's death in 1974, the doll was donated to the Fort East Martello Museum. The staff quickly realized this wasn't just a toy. Cameras malfunctioned around it, lights flickered. Visitors reported intense feelings of dread. Today, Robert sits behind glass with a sign, "Ask permission before taking a photo." Thousands of letters are pinned behind the Casey G, letters from visitors who snapped a picture without asking. Many reported accidents or streaks of terrible luck in the weeks following their visit. Some researchers believe it's a powerful psychic imprint. Others swear it's demonic. Whatever it is, Robert is not something you want sitting in your house. Imagine waking up at 3 a.m. and seeing that sailor-suited doll at the foot of your bed. Staring. 9. The Dybbuk Box, a spirit that refuses to be contained. The story of the Dybbuk Box starts in Portland, Oregon, in 2001, when an antiques dealer named Kevin Manis purchased a small wooden wine cabinet from the estate of a Holocaust survivor. The woman's granddaughter warned him that the box had always been kept hidden and was never to be opened. But Manis took it to his shop, thinking it was just another vintage piece. That was his first mistake. Almost immediately, strange things began to happen. Lights shattered for no reason. Customers complained of overwhelming feelings of sadness and nausea near the box. At night, Manis heard loud bangs from his storage area. He even started having terrifying nightmares of a demonic hag standing over his bed. Determined to get rid of it, he gave the box to his mother as a birthday gift. The moment she opened it, she suffered a stroke. Manis then sold it on eBay, describing it as haunted. That's when the box's legend spread worldwide. The next owner, a college student named Jason Haxton, reported similar horrors: shadows slithering through his home, strange smells of jasmine and cat urine, and electronics failing constantly. His health deteriorated rapidly. Haxton eventually consulted rabbis, who confirmed it could be a dibuk, a restless, malicious spirit from Jewish folklore said to cling to the living. He finally sealed it in a secret location. Years later, in 2018, the box gained new attention when YouTuber Zach Bagans featured it in his museum. During filming, rapper Post Malone visited that same week. His private plane nearly crashed, his home was robbed, and he was in a serious car accident. Many believe it was the box's curse. Today, the Dibuk box remains locked in a sealed room in Las Vegas. Some say even looking at it too long can bring misfortune. And if you ever thought of bringing it home, don't. You wouldn't just be bringing home wood and nails. You'd be bringing home a spirit that doesn't want to be contained. 8. Annabelle the doll, the real story behind the horror icon. Everyone knows Annabelle from the movies, the sinister porcelain doll with black eyes and a demonic grin. But the real Annabelle is far more disturbing, because her story isn't fiction, it's documented. In 1970, a 28-year-old nurse named Donna received a Raggedy Ann doll from her mother as a birthday gift. She brought it back to the small apartment she shared with her roommate Angie in Hartford, Connecticut. At first, the doll sat innocently on a couch in their living room. But within weeks, things began to change. The two women would return home to find the doll in different positions. Sometimes it was cross-legged on the floor. Other times, its arms were folded differently. At first, they assumed someone was playing pranks. But there was no sign of break-ins, and no one else had a key. Then scraps of parchment paper began appearing around the apartment, parchment neither woman owned, with messages written in childish handwriting. Help us. Help Lou. Lou was Angie's boyfriend, who had a bad feeling about the doll from the start. One night, he woke up from a nightmare of the doll crawling up his leg. When he looked down, there was nothing there, except scratch marks on his chest the next morning. Terrified, the women contacted a medium who told them the spirit of a little girl named Annabelle Higgins had attached itself to the doll. Moved by sympathy, Donna and Angie allowed the spirit to stay. That was their second mistake. Soon after, the activity intensified, knocking sounds, levitating objects, and Lou being attacked again. This time waking up unable to move, with the doll at his feet. They finally contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous paranormal investigators. The Warrens immediately determined the entity was not a child, but something far darker, an inhuman demonic presence using the doll as a vessel to gain trust. They performed an exorcism and removed the doll from the apartment. Annabelle was placed inside a locked glass case in the Warrens' occult museum with a warning sign, positively "Do not open." Over the years, many who mocked or disrespected the doll experienced tragedy. One young man tapped the glass and laughed. On his way home, he lost control of his motorcycle and died instantly. His girlfriend survived, only to recount that he had joked about Annabelle minutes before the crash. Today, Annabelle remains sealed in that case, and even paranormal experts refuse to handle her. She's not a movie prop. She's a reminder that sometimes evil doesn't need to look terrifying to be real. It can wear the face of a rag doll and wait for you to take it home. 7. The Bassano vase, the deadly wedding gift of Italy. In a small village near Napoli, Italy, during the 15th century, a young bride received a stunning silver vase on the night before her wedding, handcrafted by a master artisan. The vase was polished to perfection, reflecting candlelight like a mirror. But what was meant to be a symbol of love became a symbol of death. That very night, the bride was found dead in her bedroom, clutching the vase in her arms. The cause of death was never determined. Some said she was poisoned. Others claimed it was something supernatural. Over the centuries, the vase was passed down through generations. And each time it changed hands, death followed. One owner died of a mysterious infection within weeks. Another collapsed suddenly during dinner. A wealthy nobleman gave it to his cousin as a gift. That cousin fell from a balcony days later. The vase gained a dark reputation. Locals began calling it the Bassano death vase. Families started locking it away, refusing to display it. But the deaths didn't stop. In the late 20th century, the vase resurfaced. A family found it buried in their garden, wrapped in cloth, along with a note, "Beware. This vase brings death." Instead of heeding the warning, they auctioned it off. Over the next decade, the vase changed owners 4 times. Each owner died within a few months. One suffered a heart attack. Another was struck by lightning. One mysteriously disappeared. The last buyer's family begged the police to take it away, terrified it would claim another life. The vase was eventually sealed in a lead box and handed to authorities. Museums refused to accept it, fearing its legend. Its current location is unknown. Some say it was reburied in secret. Historians believe the vase might have been created using silver from a cursed or stolen source, perhaps even a funerary artifact. Others think it's psychological, that fear itself kills those who own it. But too many deaths have lined its history for anyone to call it coincidence. Bringing home an antique vase might seem like a harmless act. But if it's the Bassano vase, it might be the last thing you ever touch. 6. The woman from Lem, the goddess of death statue in 1878. Archaeologists working near the village of Lem in Cyprus unearthed a small limestone statue unlike anything they'd ever seen. The figure was feminine, faceless, with exaggerated features carved in an ancient, ritualistic style. At first, it was assumed to be a fertility idol from 3500 BC, but the story that followed gave it a far darker name, the goddess of death. The statue was acquired by a prominent Cypriot family named Elfont. Within 6 years, every adult member of the family died suddenly, leaving only 2 distant relatives. There were no wars, no plagues, no accidents. It was as if death had passed through their home like a silent storm. The statue was then inherited by the Iver family. Within 4 years, they too were all dead. The next owners, the Hamiltons, met the same Fattentia family lines wiped out in less than a decade. The deaths were often sudden and unexplained, fevers that appeared overnight, fatal falls in safe places, and inexplicable heart failures. By now, locals had started calling the artifact cursed. The press dubbed it the goddess of death after the 4th family. The Haddons also perished mysteriously. Their final surviving son, terrified, donated the statue to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh in the 1940s. Even there, the curse didn't stop. Within a year, the museum curator who handled the statue died of unknown causes. 2 assistants who moved it into its display case also died within months. The statue was finally placed inside a sealed glass display and hasn't been touched by bare hands since. No priest, rabbi, or occult expert has ever successfully explained its deadly legacy. Some believe it was a funerary idol, never meant to be disturbed. Others think it holds an ancient spirit, bound to bring death to anyone who claims it. Today, it remains on display under strict security, but museum staff refuse to linger near it after dark. They say the air around the case feels heavier, colder. Imagine bringing that into your living room. You wouldn't just be decorating your shelf. You'd be inviting centuries of death into your home. 5. The Myrtle's plantation mirror, souls trapped behind the glass, deep in the swamps of St. Francisville. Louisiana stands one of the most haunted houses in America. The Myrtle's plantation, built in 1796 by General David Bradford. The estate has been the site of murders, mysterious deaths, and ghost sightings for over 2 centuries. But one object inside the house is feared above all others, a mirror. According to legend, the mirror was added to the house in the 19th century. It's ornate, tall, and beautifully framed. But locals say it contains the trapped souls of Sarah Woodruff and her 2 children, who were allegedly poisoned to death by a slave named Chloe. After their deaths, traditional mourning rituals were followed, except for one crucial step, covering the mirrors. In 19th century Louisiana, it was believed that if mirrors weren't covered after a death, the souls of the deceased could become trapped inside, forced to wander the reflective surface for eternity. Visitors began reporting strange phenomena around the mirror. Handprints on the inside of the glass would appear overnight. Faces were seen shifting in the reflection, not matching anyone in the room. Cold spots would envelop anyone standing too close. The mirror has been professionally cleaned dozens of times, yet the handprints always return. No chemical or physical method has been able to remove them permanently. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained shadows and whispers near it. Some psychics claim they can hear the voices of the Woodruff family when they place their hands against the glass. Others refuse to go near it altogether, claiming the energy feels like being watched from the other side. Even skeptics admit the mirror's history is disturbing. Several guests who stayed at the plantation claimed to have nightmares after sleeping in the same room. One woman reported waking up paralyzed, seeing the reflection of a woman behind her in the mirror. But when she turned, no one was there. Today, the mirror remains inside the plantation, visible to tourists brave enough to look into it. Guides warn visitors not to touch the glass, not to stare too long. Many who ignored the warnings have reported sickness, car crashes, or strings of misfortune shortly afterward. Bringing this mirror home wouldn't just mean owning an antique. UDB bringing home a prison for souls, and once they re-in your house, who says they'll stay inside the glass? 4. The hands resist him. The painting that moves at night. Some paintings are beautiful, others are unsettling, but few have a reputation as terrifying as The Hands Resist Him, a piece of art that turned from an innocent painting into one of the internet's most infamous cursed objects. In 1972, artist Bill Stoneham created the painting for a gallery show in California. The artwork shows a young boy standing next to a life-size doll in front of a glass door. Behind the door are dozens of ghostly hands pressed against the glass, as if trying to break through. Stoneham based the boy on a photo of himself as a child, and the hands were meant to represent other lives behind the veil. But no one expected what would follow. The painting was first purchased by John Marley, an actor famous for his role in The Godfather. Within a year, Marley died under mysterious circumstances. The gallery owner who first exhibited the painting also died shortly after. The art critic who reviewed the piece. Same story. 3 deaths connected to the painting in a short time span. Decades later, the painting resurfaced on eBay in 2000. A California couple found it abandoned behind a brewery. They decided to sell it online, but not before explaining why. Their children claimed the figures in the painting moved at night. They said the boy crawled out of the frame and into their room. They set up motion sensors and cameras. They claimed the devices went off in the middle of the night, even when no one was there. Their eBay listing went viral. They warned that the painting was haunted, that they didn't want to be responsible for whatever might happen to the buyer. Thousands of people viewed the post. Some reported nausea, fainting, or feeling uneasy just from looking at the image online. Eventually, a gallery in Michigan bought the painting. Staff there reported strange power outages, feelings of being watched, and sudden, violent headaches when standing too close to it. Paranormal investigators believe the painting might act as a kind of spiritual gateway, with the hands representing entities trapped on the other side. Bill Stoneham, the original artist, is still alive. He claims he has no idea why the painting would be haunted. He's even painted sequels, none of which have had the same effect. Some believe it's a coincidence. Others think that something attached itself to the painting years after it was created. Today, the hands resist him remains locked away in storage, not on public display. Few dare to own a print, and those who do often keep it hidden. Imagine bringing that painting into your house and waking up to see that boy standing at the end of your hallway. 3. The Crying Boy painting the curse that survived the flames in the 1950s. A mysterious painting began appearing in homes across the United Kingdom. It showed a young boy with big, sad eyes and tears rolling down his cheeks. The artist was listed as Giovanni Bragolin, also known as Bruno Amadeo, and the prints became wildly popular. Thousands of families hung the Crying Boy on their walls, never suspecting the horror that would follow. Over the next 3 decades, firefighters across Britain began noticing a disturbing pattern. House fires would break out, homes would be reduced to ashes, and in room after room, one thing remained intact: the Crying Boy painting. Reports flooded in. In one case, a house in Rotherham burned down completely, but the painting was found on the floor, face down, completely untouched by the flames. In another, a family's entire kitchen was destroyed except for the section of wall where the painting hung. Even the wallpaper beneath it was pristine. In 1985, the Sun newspaper published a sensational story titled "Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy." They claimed dozens of similar incidents were linked to the paintings, and firefighters were reportedly refusing to keep copies in their homes. Some even claimed that if you tried to burn the painting intentionally, it wouldn't catch fire. Investigations revealed that the prints were likely coated with a fire-retardant varnish, which could explain why they didn't burn, but that doesn't explain the sheer number of houses that caught fire shortly after hanging the painting, or the fact that the painting always survived while lives and homes were lost. Folklore quickly surrounded the piece. Some said the boy in the painting was an orphan who accidentally started a fire that killed his family, and that his spirit was cursed to bring fire wherever his image went. Others believed the painting was haunted by a demon disguised as a child, feeding off human tragedy. In response to public panic, the Sun encouraged readers to send in their Crying Boy paintings to be burned in a massive bonfire. Hundreds of paintings were collected and destroyed, but many refused to give theirs up, fearing worse luck if they did. To this day, stories persist of houses with Crying Boy prints that mysteriously catch fire. Whether it's superstition, strange coincidence, or something darker, no one can say for sure. But ask yourself this: would you really hang a painting in your home if dozens of fires have started around it and it never burns? 2. The Hope Diamond, beauty that brings misfortune. The Hope Diamond is one of the most famous gemstones in the world. A dazzling 45.5 carat deep blue diamond valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. It's beautiful, legendary, and according to centuries of stories, cursed. The diamond's known history begins in the 17th century, when it was supposedly stolen from the statue of a Hindu goddess in India. Some legends claim it was one of her eyes. The thief who pried it out was reportedly torn apart by wild dogs shortly after. From there, the diamond made its way into the hands of Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a French gem merchant who brought it to Europe. He was later mauled by wolves on a trip to Russia, a story that fueled the curse's early reputation. In 1668, King Louis XIV purchased the diamond, then known as the French blue. It was set into his crown and passed down through the royal family, but one by one, misfortune struck. Louis XIV's reign ended in misery. His great-grandson, Louis XVI, and Marie Antoinette both wore the stone and were executed by guillotine during the French Revolution. A princess who borrowed the gem was mysteriously murdered after being stolen during the revolution. The diamond disappeared for decades, only to resurface in London in 1812, recut to disguise it. It passed through multiple owners, each suffering disaster. One diamond merchant went bankrupt. A Russian prince who owned it supposedly shot himself. A Turkish sultan lost his empire and was assassinated. In 1911, American socialite Evelyn Walsh McLean bought the diamond. She was famously drawn to cursed objects, believing they brought her luck. Instead, tragedy consumed her life. Her son was killed in a car accident. Her daughter died of a drug overdose, and her husband left her for another woman before being institutionalized. She refused to believe it was the stone, but friends claimed the diamond destroyed her family from the inside. After McLean's death, the Hope Diamond was eventually donated to the Smithsonian Institution, where it remains on display behind bulletproof glass. Thousands visit it every day, and while its curse has quieted in modern times, many still believe the diamond carries an ancient spiritual weight. Whether you believe in curses or not, the Hope Diamond's history is impossible to ignore. It has passed through royal courts, thieves' hands, and wealthy estates, leaving behind a legacy of death, ruin, and tragedy. Bringing that stone home would be like placing centuries of misfortune in your pocket. 1. The crying statue of Akita, a spirit that watches in a small town in Akita Prefecture, Japan. Locals tell whispers of a statue that weeps. Not metaphorically, literally. The statue, carved from sacred wood centuries ago, was originally placed in a small Shinto shrine. For generations, it was treated as a holy relic. But everything changed in the 1930s, when the shrine was dismantled and the statue was moved into private hands. That's when the tragedies began. The first family that brought it home reported hearing soft sobbing at night. At first, they assumed it was the wind passing through the old house. But then they saw tears forming on the statue's face, clear, salty water dripping from the carved eyes. Within months, 2 family members fell gravely ill and died without explanation. Over the decades, the statue changed hands several times. Each new owner faced misfortunes, financial collapse, strange accidents, suicides. But in one chilling case, a couple who displayed it in their living room were both found dead within weeks. Neighbors reported hearing crying sounds every night after midnight. Locals began calling it the crying statue of Akida. Some claimed it was possessed by the spirit of a heartbroken woman whose soul had been bound to the wood centuries earlier. Others believed it was a guardian spirit that turned vengeful when taken from its shrine. In the 1980s, a Buddhist monk was brought in to investigate. He performed purification rituals and claimed the statue contained a restless, sorrowful presence that should never have been disturbed. He advised the owners to return it to a temple. They refused. Days later, their house caught fire. The statue was found in the ruins, completely untouched. Today, the statue is locked away in a secure temple storage facility in northern Japan. It is never displayed publicly. Monks only approach it while chanting purification prayers, and no one has dared to bring it into a private home since. In Japanese folklore, objects can become inhabited by spirits through tsukumogami, a belief that after 100 years, inanimate objects can gain a soul. Whether it's a tsukumogami or something far darker, the crying statue of Akita has earned its reputation as an object you should never ever bring home.